Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him, translation, the meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 3, chapters 17 through 24. Chapter 17, the victory of Hiranyaksa over the four directions of the universe. In the 17th chapter, at the birth of the two demons, many ill omens appeared. Hiranyaksa, conquering everywhere, mocked Varuna. The Devatas gave up worrying because they had faith that the Lord would handle the situation. The younger of the two, Hiranyaksa, took his club in his hand and began terrorizing the universe for the pleasure of his elder brother, Hiranyakasipu. Hiranyaksa journeyed to the ocean and disturbed the aquatics and smite the ocean waves with his club. He challenged Varuna Dev for battle, and the demigod avoided Hiranyaksa's prideful words, telling him to seek Vishnu, who would fight with him and kill him. A verse from chapter 17, text 16. Tvadi daitya sahasya Yajyamanatma Purusa Yaridate Sarena Kayena Dripati Iva. Translation. These two demons, who appeared in ancient times, soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had steel-like frames, which began to grow just like two great mountains. Chapter 18. The battle between Lord Boar and Hiranyaksa. Hiranyaksa did not heed Varuna's words of warning, but began seeking Vishnu within the ocean, where he found the Lord lifting the earth upwards at the end of his tusk. The demon challenged the Lord, saying he would kill him, thus ending all sacrifices and causing the devotees to cease and exist. The Lord was pained by the abusive words of the demon, but he carefully placed the earth upon the water before replying with great anger. Hiranyaksa struck the Lord with a mace, and a fierce battle began. Brahma arrived, and noting that the night was approaching, he requested the Lord to kill the demon without delay. A verse from chapter 18 is text 10. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Satyam Vayambo Vana Gochara Mrig Yushmad Vidhan Mrigaye Grama Simham Namrityu Pasad Pati Muktashat Vira Vikatanam Tava Grinatya Badra. Translation. The personality of Godhead said, "Indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging. You are bound up by the laws of death." Chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiranyaksa. Maitreya related how the Lord accepted the request of Brahma. Laughing, he picked up his club to kill the demon, but Hiranyaksa threw his own club and knocked the Lord's club from his hand. The Lord then called for his chakra and knocked down the mace with which the demon had again thrown. The demon tried magic, but the Lord dispelled that too with his chakra. Hiranyaksa tried to crush the Lord, but he found the Lord outside his grasp. The Lord then effortlessly and nonchalantly slapped Hiranyaksa at the root of his ear and killed him. Brahma praised the fortune of Hiranyaksa for having died at the Lord's hand, and the demigod showered flowers and offered prayers. Maitreya then glorified the process of hearing the Lord's pastimes and the pastimes of the Lord's devotees. Maitreya then described the benefits occurred to one who hears the narration of the Lord's killing of Hiranyaksa. A verse from chapter 19, text 34. Anyesam punya slokanam udamayasam satam upashrucha bhavin modha shrivat sankashyakim puna. Translation. What to speak of hearing the pastimes of the Lord, whose chest is marked with Srivasta. People may take transcendental pleasure even in hearing of the works and deeds of the devotees, whose fame is immortal. Chapter 20, Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Sunakarishi inquired about Vidura's question to Maitreya. Sutta first described Maitreya's delight at hearing the pastimes of the Lord's killing Hiranyaksa. The secondary creation previously described in detail is again partially described in the 20th chapter, in order to relate the lineage stemming from Swayambhuva Manu. Maitreya began explaining the creation of the universe, first the Mahatattva, then false ego, then the production of a shiny egg-like universe which lifelessly lay upon the waters of the causal ocean until the Lord entered as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Brahma sprouted from the lotus born from the Lord's navel, and the Lord then entered Brahma's heart and gave him the intelligence to recreate the universe. He then created the Manus, whom would promote welfare activities within the universe, and whom he endowed with his own form. The demigods applauded Brahma's creation of the Manus, for by that creation they would achieve the results of the ritualistic acts that the Manus would cause to be performed. A verse from chapter 20, text 25. Sa'u pravraja varadam prapanati haram haram anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatam darsanam. Translation. He approached the personality of Godhead, who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. Chapter 21, Conversation between Manu and Kardama. Vidura inquires about the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu, mentioning his two sons, Uttanapad and Priyavarta, who ruled the world. He especially inquired about his daughter, Devahuti, who had married Kardama Muni, and about his other two daughters who had married Ruchi and Das. Maitreya, in reply, describes the penance of Kardama Muni and its result. The Lord appeared to Kardama. Kardama offered obeisance to the Lord and then prayerfully requested the Lord to satisfy his desire for a wife. The Lord replied to Kardama by informing him that Swayambhuva Manu would soon come and offer his qualified daughter, Devahuti, to become his wife. The Lord tells Kardama that he will have 9 daughters through Devahuti, and through them the sages will be able to procreate. Kardama, the Lord foretells, will then leave home and will attain perfection. The Lord then informed Kardama that he himself will manifest as his son, Kapila, to teach Sankhya philosophy. After having spoken to the sage Kardama, the Lord departed for Vaikuntha. A verse from chapter 21, text 8. Tavat prasano bhagavan pushkar raksha krite yuge darsayam asatam kasta sadam brahma dahad vapu. Translation. Then, in Satyuga, the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, being pleased, showed himself to that Kardama Muni and displayed his transcendental form, which can be understood only through the Vedas. Chapter 22. The marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Swayambhuva Manu glorifies Kardama Muni, and in doing so he glorifies the relationship between the Kshatriyas and Brahmins. Swayambhuva Manu and Kardama Muni then speak about Kardama Muni's acceptance of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu's daughter, as his wife, and Kardama Muni accepts Devahuti on the condition that he will be given permission to leave home and take sannyas as soon as the child is born. Swayambhuva agreed and returned to his opulent kingdom, within which he enjoys incredible material opulence beyond the miseries of material existence. And yet he makes advancement in spiritual life. Manu, at the end of his life, goes to the spiritual world. A verse from chapter 22 is text 35. Anyata yamas tashyasam yamasvatara yapana Srinvato dayato Vishnu kurvatu bruvata kata. Translation. Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, consisting of a Manvatara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. Chapter 23. Devahuti's Lamentation. Devahuti served her husband with full devotion and even neglected her own body while engaged in his service. Kardama Muni expressed his appreciation for Devahuti's service, and Devahuti then expresses her desire to have children. She then requests Kardama to make all suitable arrangements. Maitreya told Vidura of the wonderful and opulent arrangements Kardama Muni made through his mystic powers. He created a flying palace equipped with all opulences. He had Devahuti enter the Bindu Sarova lake and had her beautified and attended by thousands of maidservants. Devahuti and Kardama then traveled throughout the universe within their palace and enjoyed all sights. Kardama immediately prepared to leave for home to take sannyas. Devahuti then approached Kardama and shyly placed before him her lack of spiritual realizations and her thought that she had wasted her entire life on sense enjoyment and had not sought liberation. A verse from chapter 23 is text 55. Sangoya samshritir hetur asatsu vihito dija saeva sadhu sokrito nisangat vaya kalpate. Translation. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. But the same type of association formed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. Chapter 24. The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. Kardama recalled the words of Vishnu, and he assured Devahuti that the Lord himself would soon enter her womb as her son. Kardama acted as her spiritual master and instructed her to faithfully worship the Lord. Thus the Lord appeared after many years as the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. At the time of the Lord's ascent, the demigods sounded musical instruments from the sky, and Lord Brahma could understand that the Lord had appeared. He came to Kardama's hermitage. Brahma then glorified Kapila Dev's appearance, in which he would explain the Sankhya Yoga and uproot the desire for fruitive work within this world. He then assured Devahuti that her son Kapila Dev would increase her fame and cut all her knots of ignorance and doubt before traveling throughout the world. Kardama surrenders to Kapila Dev, whose form is transcendental, and requests permission to take sannyas and think always of Kapila Dev within his heart. Kapila Dev then gave Kardama permission to leave home. Kapila Dev then promised that he would explain the science of Sankhya to Devahuti, his mother. Maitreya related how Kardama circumambulated Kapila Dev and at once left for the forests. A verse from chapter 24 is text 37. Esa atma pato vyakto nashta kalena bhuyasa tam pravartayitam deham iham vidhi maya britam. Translation. This path of self-realization, which is difficult to understand, has now been lost in course of time. Please know that I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society.